All right, fellas, man. So a lot's been going on, man. A lot's been going on in free agency. Draft just finished, and free agency is already. I mean, free agency doesn't start until the 12th, and I mean, it's a flurry. Things happening quick. Things are happening quick. So I know you. You had. I'm gonna let you kick it off with with the free agent that you wanted to talk about.
I mean, the biggest one, he did not become a free agent, actually. So we had Max Crosby for the Raiders. They were able to retain him, making him the highest non-paid quarterback in the league. Well deserved. Well deserved, right? He's been the quintessential Raider. Whatever you want to label as a Raider or categorize what a Raider player should be, what they look like, how they act, how they play, that's Max Crosby.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where it's good to see a player who has dedicated himself to the franchise, played at peak performance consistently, and now he's getting the big payoff because of that. He's been loyal, and in turn, the organization is rewarding him for his loyalty by being loyal to him. So it's deserved, right? So he's a high engine, high motor type of player, but has the athleticism and the production to go along with it. So yeah, that's the guy that kind of stands out to me right now as we get into this free agency period. But the Raiders actually doing something right.
Mm.
I don't know if this is a Brady influence, but this is something that we're not accustomed to seeing from this organization over the past couple of seasons. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we'll see how it continues with them.
Yeah, you know what? A funny thing that something that I heard about Max Crosby was, and I didn't notice, he coming out of high school, he only had one offer, one D1 offer. He wasn't like, he wasn't like this on this, like what he is now. He's turned into what he is now, but he only had one D1 offer, man. That's when I saw that, I was like, okay. I didn't, I thought he would have been one of those guys that was a stud all along, but I guess he blossomed into that.
Yeah, I mean, you have some guys, and you've seen it. I can't think of any. I know if I can sit down and kind of catalog it, I can come up with a lot of examples. But the scenario is they come out of high school, they haven't hit their peak, they didn't hit their stride,
Yeah.
right? They get into the college football league, and then all of a sudden, when they get into like their sophomore to junior season, then they start to their athleticism, their physical build, it just starts to grow exponentially, and
Hmm.
then they start becoming that caliber of player that can make it to the next level. But you ever heard of like that awkward phase, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Coming
Yeah.
out of,
Yeah. Yeah.
coming out of high
Heard it.
school, awkward phase. Cooper Cup was sort of like that too. He didn't get a lot of accolades. He didn't get a lot of people giving him scholarships coming out of high school, goes into college, and then he starts, performing at a peak level.
Blossoming.
Yeah, I can see someone like Max Crosby being that type of guy. And what I realized, if you notice, those type of players where a lot wasn't given to them at an earlier age, they tend to be the hardest workers too,
That's true.
right?
That is true.
They had to
Yeah.
work for it. They had to work for it. They got there, they earned it, and then they saw that payoff off of the hard work, and then that carries them through their professional career as well.
Yeah.
They tend to be hard workers. You don't see any issues off the field. They don't take it for granted because they weren't blessed with it in middle school, right? You don't see the videos of them at age 10 dominating on the field. And then the thing with him is he's kind of undersized. Like he's like 6'2", 6'3", but like 255, 260. Like he's not, for a defensive end, he's not a big guy. You'll see after games, he got the shoulder pads off and like he don't look it,
Right.
but he
Right.
does it, right? So whatever he does it extremely well, and I think he just maximizes the God-given talent, right? And then just dedicates himself. So, but 35.5 mil a year, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Okay,
So
let me ask you guys this, man. How old is Max Crosby right now? How old is he?
let me
What is he?
see.
Is he about 20? Is he 28, 29?
28, 29.
20,
Think so.
Okay.
27 turning 28 in August.
Okay. 27. Okay. 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 All right. I was just gonna say because I you know I know you got some defensive players that could really dominate a game and really take the game over, right? And I've seen Max Crosby play, and I like the guy, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know when it come to like giving these kind of contracts, you know, to these kind. Yeah, this would always happen. You give these guys these big time contracts, and then they disappear. You know, they go eating caviar. They out there. They're not working as hard as they used to work, and and it's like, I made it, and now, I don't know if this was his rookie contract that he was coming off of, and now he got the big deal. No, so this is like his second contract.
Contract.
The second contract. I just don't know, man. I mean, you turn in the corner at this point. I don't know if I'm giving Max Crosby all that money. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know.
I don't agree with that. So we just kicked this off about talking about his hard work, right?
Mm,
The way that he carries himself. To your point, I think organizations, particularly today, they heavily scrutinize whether or not they want to give these players the big contract. For better or for worse, you got some they get it right, and then you have some like the Dallas Mavericks, and they just totally screw it up, right? So, but in this regard, again, he has shown a level of consistency,
mm.
showing up, being the first one in, last one out, right? Putting in max effort, not just practice,
No
but on
pun
the field.
intended.
Good one, right? Playing hurt
Right.
and being a leader in the locker room, like all of those things, and also outside of the locker room, in the community. So
Yeah.
when you have a player like that, like I said, this is one of those stories where you tip your hat to the organization for rewarding them because he deserves it.
So, I mean, is he like, I know they play different positions. When Aaron Donald was with the Rams, the guy was just a game changer, man. He just changing the game. Is that Max Crosby?
So there's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah.
Doc, I'm gonna let you get to this, right?
Okay.
I'll let you piggyback off of this, but let me get a first stab at it, right? Aaron Donald, yes, he's a specimen.
Yeah.
He'll probably go down as one of the best defensive linemen to ever play the game. But he played in an organization that allowed him the opportunities to dominate at the most crucial times of the game as well. If you need to have a complementary offense so that your defense could be put in position to win games.
Yeah. Okay.
Look at can we even name the last quarterbacks the Raiders had over the past 6 years? Because he's been with the organization 6 years, Max Crosby.
6 years. Okay. Yeah.
Who's been their quarterback over the last 6 years?
Shoot.
Right? So
Yeah.
when you take all of that into consideration, right, you have like the Derek Carrs and the
Eric Carr. Yeah. Yeah.
O'Donnell.
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I think Jared Stidham was in there for a couple of games as well. So it's his supporting cast.
Yeah.
Defensive lineman cannot take over and win the game by himself like a quarterback kind of can do that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And football, we all know it's the ultimate team sport. So you have this one gem that you have on the team and you have nothing else, okay? And you see him coming in every day, playing, putting in max effort, practicing, being the model player for the rest of that's what you're rewarding, because if you take him off of that defense goes from right now average to like completely bottom of the barrel.
Wow.
So what he's a player that you can now build on top of. It's up to the organization to start putting in the complementary pieces so that he can continue to play, but also be able to put him in positions where he can effectively win you games.
To Lee's point, if your team is behind, other teams running the ball more conservative pass plays, you don't have time to get that strip sack fumble, right? So you want the game to be close or your team ahead, so the other team now has to drop back to throw. And if you have 3 decent defensive linemen and a Max Crosby, who at worst now is only going to get double teamed, then okay, fine. But if they run the ball, if they can triple team him and ain't no one else getting pressure off of single blocking, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And I'll do you one even better, right? Like you have a situation where, and this is where the offense, directly affects how your defense plays. You get the ball, start of the game, your offense goes out there, 3 and out, right? They punt. The other team gets the ball and they march the ball down the field, let's say 5, 6, 7 minute drive. Raiders get the ball again, 3 and out. They got to punt again. The opposing team gets another 5 minute, 6 minute drive, field goal. Okay, so now they've been on the field, right, for 15, 18 minutes.
Right.
The defense, your offense, been 3 and out, 3 and out. By the time you get into that second half of the game, your defense is gassed.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
can't play at peak performance because now he's been on the field too long. And
Yeah.
the offense now hasn't generated any points. The opposing team is now playing with a lead, and all they got to do is keep leaning into that defense, running the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I will be interested to see, as with this contract now that he's gotten, hopefully that continues. That, what you guys are saying, hopefully that continues. The trend has always been they get paid and then they disappear. So we'll see.
Aaron Donald didn't do it. And
Yeah.
Aaron Donald, but even
Yeah.
someone like Myles Garrett, right? Myles Garrett played on a poor team, got a big contract. He kept playing at a high level. The team just was bad.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. Bad team.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So okay, we got let me bring up Saquon Barkley real quick. I mean, you when you that kind of generational talent kind of player, right? I mean, look, I was so happy because Howie is getting it right. And guess and Lee, we talked about this earlier. He's signing them early, man. He's signing these dudes. Saquon was in a 3-year contract. Now signs a 2-year extension, $41.2 million, $35 million guaranteed. The highest paid running back in the league. I mean, well deserved. Howie, awesome, man. Congratulations, Saquon Barkley. Hey, this dude is here for he's an Eagle for life, man. And the thing about it is, I pray for continuous healthy seasons for this dude. But let me tell you, well deserved, man. I mean, yeah, I gotta tip my cap to Howie, because Howie just know how to do it, and getting guys like Saquon Barkley and making that move right now, rewarding them. And you know what else this is showing? Free agents and other people around the league about the Eagles. What this is showing is, if you perform, you're gonna get paid. You're gonna get paid. If you perform, you're gonna get paid, man. So I mean, look, I just had to tip my cap to Howie. Saquon, you deserve it, man. You deserve it. That's all I gotta say.
Links. Are you concerned about a drop off now that he got this big contract?
Check this out. So, like I say, these things happen, but
Right.
it happened. That's why, however, even though I said that, you got to look at the individual person. You got to look at the character of the person and who they are. So, I couldn't speak for Max Crosby, but, I'm going to say with Saquon, he's going to be consistent. This is Saquon, man. As long as this line is intact, this O-line that the Eagles got, I mean, who can't run through that hole? I mean, I think Saquon can be solid, man.
I understand you don't know Max Crosby either. That's not your team. You studied Saquon, more, so
Yeah.
you can vouch for his dedication, right, to his craft.
Yeah.
But then also at least agree to pray for Max Crosby's health.
I got no allegiance to the Raiders, man.
Nice. Oh man,
Max could drop off, man.
But no,
it is
to your point. I go ahead.
No, I was saying it. So one, it's nice to see a running back getting paid, because I think this is the most money a running back's ever getting paid per year, right?
Yeah.
Two, this offense was built not expecting to have Saquon Barkley, and now that they have Saquon Barkley, it puts it at a whole different level. So they're rewarding that, right?
Yeah.
for all the Howie Roseman and Saquon Barkley's agent, you got to give Joe Sheen just a little bit of credit for
Absolutely.
for fumbling that and allowing Saquon to go across the way, right?
Absolutely,
But
man.
what is impressive about the reward of Saquon, because he's only been there for a year, right?
That's right.
But he now embodies what the Eagles want to have embodied is you guys, that being the Eagles, are building for a good 3 to 4 year run
Yeah. Yeah.
and trying to maximize, and they'll deal with the money down the road.
Yeah.
They'll deal with the
Down the
massive
road.
hit down the road. But hey, right now the iron's hot and they're
Right.
trying to strike, and they're going to make sure Saquon's happy, which is going to make Jalen Hurts happy. The offense is
Mm-hmm.
going to continue to flow. The defense is young, which is kind of scary.
Young
But yeah,
defense.
like they're building for that run, and it's impressive to see them making these moves so early in the off season to solidify the team for the 2025 season.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. How we playing chess and these other GMs playing checkers, man. Like how he has it down and getting ahead of the contract. That's what I
Yeah.
call it. He's
Yeah.
getting ahead before they hit that max number. Understanding that Saquon did get got a lot of money, highest paid running back ever, well deserved, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has a tendency, he's showing to have a tendency of being able to kind of hit it at the right point before it gets to that critical mass of, oh, we're going to overpay.
Right.
And then also fitting it neatly into the budget to where it's not disrupting any of
Mm-hmm.
the other key pieces on the team.
Mm-hmm.
A complete contrast to that Cincinnati Bengals, where you have their 2-star wide receivers and their top defensive player all looking for a contract within the same year.
Yeah.
Completely, utterly ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Put
That's
yourself
crazy.
in that position when you could have paid Jamar Chase last year when he was wanting a contract before
right.
he got the Triple Crown this year, right? And now his asking price has gone up precipitously because of that.
Yeah.
They could have paid him.
Yeah.
Come into this season, absorb now the increase in the salary cap, pay T. Higgins without having to put him on the franchise,
Right.
and then maybe franchise the defensive player and keep him for another year and then pay him next year.
Yeah.
That's what they should have done.
Yeah. I don't know what GM school these dudes go to, man. I mean, it's like, I mean, you should be looking at this way in advance, ahead in advance, and I hadn't seen much of this, much of what, and don't get me wrong, Howie wasn't always this, I think over the course of time, he's gotten to this point where now he has a really good staff and he's making these decisions and he's seeing what's working. He took a gamble on Saquon, signed AJ and Devontae early. So but going back to Cincinnati, man, T. Higgins get the franchise tag, and I want to understand this a little bit. You guys kind of break this down a little bit. Like, so when you get the franchise tag, right? So he's gotten it twice now. So that means he can't get any more. So how does it work? Like with the overall scope, like what happens next after this?
So pretty much, franchise tag, you take the average of the top 5 players at that position, their salary. The top 5
Right.
salaries, you average it, that's what you get paid, right?
Right.
If you franchise and then you can negotiate a long-term deal at a certain point, you just play the 1 year and you're good. If you franchise the second year, it's a 25% increase on what it was the previous year.
Mm.
And at that point, after that season, if you don't get the long-term deal, they are an unrestricted free agent. They could go wherever the heck they want to go, and
For the rest of
Cincy gets nothing.
Nothing.
For it.
Okay.
So
Okay. Wow.
yeah,
And not
Yeah.
only that, like if he goes to another team and outplays that contract,
Right.
that team he's not qualified to get franchised ever again. In his
So it doesn't matter which team you go to, you can't get franchised ever again. Wow. Okay. So let me ask this question. Now, okay, Donnie, I know you said it's the average of the top 5. That's the salary that they get. Now, is this a lump sum? Is this an upfront salary, or is this like when they get franchise tag for that year, right? Say it's $24 million or whatever it is. Is $24 million in the bank, or how does that work?
Guaranteed.
Pretty
That's
much.
guaranteed.
Yeah, you get 1 point something per your 17 games, but you get no money. Yeah, you get
Okay.
no money.
I mean, shoot. Look, I'd be happy.
No,
I
Well,
mean,
the problem with it is that there's no long-term commitment. That's just for
it's just a
one.
1 year.
It's a
Yeah,
1 year
one
thing.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but okay. I know these guys are celebrities. They living at a high standard, right? But think about this: $24 million in a year. Now, granted, we know depending on where you live, taxes going to eat that up. You got your agents, you got all of these things, you got family members, you got all of that, right? But if these guys are fiscally responsible and they are really managing their money, I mean, come on, man. I mean, one year, $24 million. I mean, come on. I mean, I mean, I know you want the long term, but to me, $24 million is long term. I mean, I'm just saying.
I agree with you, but like you said, you itemized it accurately depending on the state that you're in. If it's $24 million and they're in Florida, right?
Yeah,
Texas there's no state tax in Texas, right?
no state
Right.
tax.
So if you're in one of those areas, then you're good.
you're
But
good. Yeah,
you're in California or
or New York.
or New York,
Especially.
Yeah,
right? And by the time you look at all of the other ancillary commitments that they have with the agents and the managers and all of these other things they have going on,
right.
that turns into $12 million quick.
Yeah, yeah,
24. That's
yeah,
$12 million. So
yeah, yeah.
still a lot of money.
Right.
But that long term contract is I think a lot more, that's what they want.
Yeah, yeah.
That's horrible.
If I was a GM, man, I would be setting up these contracts with a lot of incentive based things, incentive based markers that they have to hit because when I mentioned earlier with Max Crosby and the drop off, if I got these incentives in here, because what I'm understanding is Saquon also has some incentives built into his as well.
Yes.
So I would put some serious incentives in there just so I know that you striving for this because I mean it's so easy to become complacent. So I like the incentives.
What really boggles my mind though is you have this football, right? When you compare it to all of the other sports, I think it takes probably the most dedication. It's the most taxing,
Yeah,
the most grueling sport.
yeah, it's grueling. Man.
In order for you to be even somewhat effective, you have to put in a lot of dedication.
Yeah,
And the guarantees are bare bones, right? Compared to the other sports. When you look at basketball, that money's guaranteed.
yeah. Those max
When
contracts.
you look at baseball,
Yeah,
that money's guaranteed.
yeah.
I think Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid,
He's still
right? So
Yeah.
he's been retired for what, 15 years? He's still getting paid, right? So I don't appreciate sometimes how the NFL players are treated when it comes to these contract negotiations. I think they've already they've sacrificed their bodies. They've done the work. Injuries are a huge part of it. I get you want to put those incentives in. You want to put an incentive in due to a debilitating career-ending injury. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But all of the other stuff, it's unfortunate to say the least that NFL players have to go through that. The other sports that, they don't.
The other thing, that, especially dealing with the Bengals, right, is they got pretty much 4 players of consequence, and only one's on a long-term deal at this point in time. And so you got your Triple Crown winner who trying to get a long-term deal. They can't get him a long-term deal. Well, that number's going to go up if they sign him, and it's the Bengals, so you never know. They franchise tag the other receiver, Higgins, now for the second year. So he's not feeling love. So this most likely is his last year in Cincinnati. Because I'm not sure I'm looking for a long-term deal in Cincinnati when you've been looking for the last 3 years, and they keep on kicking this can down the road, letting you know, we just want to use him one more year. We use him one more year and then see how things go, right? And now you got Hendrickson, and getting back to the comparison with Crosby, Hendrickson is the star on the defense, got the most sacks in the league last year. He played with a quarterback, unlike Max Crosby, and they couldn't make the playoffs. And
Yeah.
now they're talking about, hey, if you want to look around to find some team you want to get traded to, let us know. We'll see what
Crazy.
we could do.
Yeah.
There's a good chance after next season, it's going to be Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the Pips, right? Because they ain't going to have anybody else, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're right about that.
I remember 3-4 years ago when they made the Super Bowl. Oh, this gonna be an epic run for Cincinnati. They are poised to dominate the AFC for the next 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's So
Yeah, I blame the GM because when they went to the Super Bowl, that's when you should have restructured those contracts. That's when you should have extended those contracts. And when these guys was at that point, then extend them. Lee, I know you were saying something about Joe Burrow tied into this. I know. So what was your take on that?
Well, I mean, Joe Burrow has a lot of influence because he is the team. He's the meal ticket for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Cincinnati Bengals owner Mike Brown, he's been known to be notoriously cheap. It's a running joke across all media platforms, right? He doesn't like to spend money. But when it comes to that quarterback position, when you got somebody as high value to your bottom line as Joe Burrow, you need to do whatever you need to do to make him happy.
Yeah.
So during the Super Bowl, Joe Burrow, when he was doing his media run, getting his interviews, he made it a point to emphasize his particular perspective on the lay of the land for the Cincinnati Bengals. And he emphasized wanting to retain both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, even to the point where he said he was willing to restructure his contract so that he keep both of them. So at this point, I feel he's put a lot of pressure on Mike Brown and that Cincinnati Bengals front office to do whatever it is that they can do to keep those two wide receivers.
Yeah.
History lesson here. You had 10, 12 years ago, Carson Palmer, who was the meal ticket for the Cincinnati Bengals back then.
Right.
Mike Brown was still the owner, and he forced his way out of Cincinnati. He was disgruntled. Organization was cheap. They were not trying to win. They weren't putting the right pieces. They weren't being active in free agency. He was tired of losing. So he forced his way out. I think he held out, and it put a lot of pressure on them to trade him, and he ended up with the Cardinals. I think having that history, Mike Brown does not want to go down that path again. So I think what he's going to do, instead of doing the right thing and balancing his budget, paying the guys when he's supposed to pay them, trying to get ahead of the curve so that it doesn't put too much pressure on the bottom line for the entire team.
Yeah.
He's still waiting for the last minute, but he's doing the bare minimum to try to keep Burrow happy by just keeping these two wide receivers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because he has those, that's not going to win you a Super Bowl. Yes, they're going to be elite like they were last season on offense, but that defense, which was bad last season, is potentially going to be minus a guy that got them 17 and a half sacks.
That's crazy, man.
Doesn't make any sense.
No sense.
And just to double down on the frugality, right? You got a receiver that everyone knows should be extended to a long-term deal, and he's not because he's still on the rookie deal. You got another receiver where you're paying him $24 million, but it's a 1-year $24 million. Ain't nothing guaranteed, right? And so you got these two receivers with Joe Burrow, and how much money is guaranteed? Nothing. Because when you have the guaranteed contract, whatever you have guaranteed, it has to go into escrow. That got to go into a whole bank account for a rainy day. No matter what, they're going to get that money. And he ain't putting no money aside for anybody for as long as possible. Right? And so that's why you don't have Chase signed to a long-term deal, but Justin Jefferson making 35. Right? And then the other receiver getting franchised for the second year in a row because you either pay him an extra $6 million for that 1 year and the possibility of him walking and you get nothing, just trying to pinch pennies. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know these guys, man. It's interesting. So, I wanted to bring somebody up. Joey Bosa, right? Getting cut, right? So was this contract related, or was this effort related? I mean, what what constituted this? What happened?
Joey Bosa can't stay on the field.
He
He
always hurt.
he's always hurt.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you have to also add the Jim Harbaugh factor into this as well.
yeah,
Right? Jim Harbaugh, he's the head coach. He doesn't play around.
yeah,
He
yeah,
wants guys who the best ability that you can possibly have is availability when it comes to him.
yeah.
Got to
Okay.
be present. So Joey Bosa, who supremely talented, highly athletic, when he's on the field, he's a game changer on defense. But the problem is he's hardly on the field.
Yeah, yeah. One thing is, again, I think Joey Bosa is in that age range, the 27, 28, age range, and for defensive ends, and I want to say that's where he is, but for defensive ends,
He's 29.
he's 29. Okay, yeah. I would cut him too. Yeah, he gone. He gone, man. I would cut him too. Because I'm telling you, defensive ends, when they get to that 28, 29, 30 range,
Mhm.
it's downhill from here, man. It's downhill. So, wherever he ends up, he'll probably give them one good season. And then he's gonna be on and off, and then he done
Well,
that's just my opinion.
on that note, then we got to double back and probably give the Bengals a little bit of a benefit of the doubt because Hendrickson is 30.
He's 30?
He's 30.
Yeah.
Now,
But he's been available.
right, but his situation is a little bit different than your typical defensive end because he's another one of those guys who was a late bloomer.
Okay.
He didn't play a lot.
He didn't play.
Didn't play a lot in the
Okay.
beginning stages of his season.
Okay.
So I think
Well,
he came in the same year as Myles Garrett.
yeah.
And I think, oh man, don't quote me on this, but I believe I heard someone say that he's played almost 1,000 less snaps, right?
Okay. That makes sense.
He didn't play the first couple of years.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense then.
That's why the Bengals was able to sign him as a free agent.
Hmm.
And no one really thought nothing about it. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, this dude blew up. Like, where'd this dude come from?
Right.
And nah, they
Yeah.
didn't pay him the money.
Okay,
But
I understand. Okay, I see. So with him, it's definitely different. If he don't have all that wear on his tires, wear and tear, then yeah, he got 2 years.
Yeah.
3 years left.
Yeah.
To be accurate, because I had to look it up because I know if somebody watching this and be like 1,000, that's crazy, right?
Right.
So I just looked it up. He has played Myles Garrett 100 less snaps.
100
Right.
less snaps. Okay, so that's like what would you constitute that to? A season or two?
Must be in a season.
Yeah, about a season, maybe.
Probably early in his career.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
But if he wasn't given this kind of production and really seeing the field much early in his career, then he still got some tread on his tires,
Yeah.
man.
Because some of those guys end up starting off, special teams, back up on the defense.
Right.
getting 10, 15 plays.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what probably for Bosa, what would make sense is for him to go to a team where he gets to be the third down pass rush specialist, right? So second and long, third and long, but he's not in there 3 downs because he tends to not last the entire season. You
Yeah.
can get something out of him for 10, 15 mil a year. Him coming in playing half the snaps you normally would, but he actually is able to play all those snaps when you want him to play. So, but
I think he would need to do what Von Miller did when he went to the Rams when we won that Super Bowl. Like he comes in, you got to go in with a team that probably already has a pretty stout defense.
Yeah.
I don't want to the team. There's a team in my division that I would not want him to go to.
Got you. Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
yeah, that would be dangerous.
That would be it right there.
That would be
Yeah.
it right there.
Right. So it just comes down on third and long situations
Yep.
or passing down situations.
Yeah.
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 Hey, Donnie.
No, don't put that on me. Don't put that on me. Don't put that on me.
Oh no, man.
Yeah.
Boy, yeah, that's an interesting one. We got Christian Kirk was just in a trade, but he was going to get cut anyway. I mean, he was about to get cut from what I heard.
Right.
So this make any sense? I mean,
It does.
the 7th-round pick.
It does. It does because I mean they got something, right? And then you have a team in the Texans that traded for him that they want to add some extra depth to their wide receiver room because they don't know what I don't think they know what they want to do with Stephon Diggs yet because they don't know how he's going to come back from his injury.
Yeah.
Then you have Tank Dell, the young wide receiver who also had a season-ending injury. Don't know how he's going to recuperate from that. So you want to start adding some pieces into the room of some tried and true wide receivers while also probably looking at the draft as well. You need someone to complement Nico Collins.
Yeah,
You need
definitely.
someone to complement him. So Kirk, Christian Kirk, he can come in. He's a really good wide receiver, not elite, but he can complement him. He can be a number two, a stout number two receiver, and you're solid there.
Yeah.
All you do is give up a 7th-round pick. So I think on both sides, you kind of win.
Yeah. Yeah, you get something. I guess you could see it like that. You get something, if you're going to cut him and you get something anyway from it. So, yeah, kind of pan out for.
And one more. Speaking of wide receivers, we didn't talk about this before we got on, but you have DK Metcalf is asking for a trade.
DK?
Yep. Today. It just happened today.
Yep.
He requested he wants to be traded. So that was news. He's looking to leave. And then Seattle also, they're going to cut Tyler Lockett.
Yep, Tyler Lockett. Yep, I saw that. Yep, going to cut him. DK must be hanging around AJ Brown because I saw a picture. They was working out together.
Right. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because when I see DK, I see AJ.
Right. Yeah.
They like two, like the exact same person.
They hanging out. Yeah, they hanging out together.
So you have DK who he's 27. When you look at all of the wide receivers that are in free agency now, right? You have the Cooper Kupp. You have who else? Now you have Tyler Lockett, right? You have the guy who was with the Bears, the older wide receiver.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Right. He was with the Chargers before he went to the Bears. Right. So you have a handful of wide receivers that are out there, really good wide receivers.
Yeah.
But DK Metcalf now putting him out there, he's at the top, 27, 6'3", right, 20 pounds,
a beast,
runs a 4.3.
Yeah.
The problem with DK Metcalf, I think, having watched him all of these years, because Rams we play him twice a year.
Right.
He's hot-headed.
Very.
He is hot-headed.
Yeah.
You can get him off of his game.
Yeah.
Very easily.
Yeah.
Very easily. I mean, like he's a supreme talent. He can take over a game, but I have seen teams, DBs, intentionally rub him the wrong way, and he loses it.
Yeah.
Every time he loses it. So if you're a team out there, you're looking to acquire him, it's like, I don't know.
Right. Do you? Because
you have to have the right coaching staff to be able to pull him in and get him focused to be a high contributor consistently throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, he needs to have somebody like a Harbaugh as his coach. Somebody that's kind of a hardcore, hard-nosed kind of guy. Because DK is a hothead, man. You make a good point because I've seen many. You right. I've seen him always in fights all the time. I'm like, and that just take him straight out the game. And when you do that, you get in his head easy like that. He done. Yeah, I don't know. I would be kind of. Don't get me wrong. The dude is a beast. I mean, just when he's playing, and when he's on, he's on. You're right. Mentally, if somebody getting in your head that easy to get you out of the game, that would be my approach all the time as a DB. I'd be getting up under your skin all the time.
Every time.
Yeah.
But to have fun with that, imagine that guy with the Los Angeles Chargers under Jim Harbaugh, with Justin Herbert throwing to him and McConkey on the other side. Like,
yeah, that would be dangerous.
Yeah,
that'd be dangerous.
But I'm looking at this list because I pulled it up. So the wide receiver free agent list, you have Stephon Diggs,
Mm,
Ari Cooper,
Cooper.
T. Higgins. He wasn't, of course, he's gotten franchise now. Chris Godwin is a
Godwin, yes.
good receiver. Keenan Allen was the receiver we were
Yeah.
trying to.
Keenan, yeah.
Marquise Brown, Deontay Johnson, Hollywood Brown, and geez, I didn't even know Allen Robinson. I didn't even know he was still in the league.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. That's a okay. Like you say, a DK is at the top of that list.
He would be at the top.
Definitely. And Donnie, you make a good point. If San Diego, I think Harbaugh would be that kind of coach to be able to, sit him down and kind of like be hard nosed with him and be like, okay, you got to get this thing. You got to get your mental right because these dudes come. So he need that kind of coach, man. That could be a fit. That could be a fit. Let's see where it goes.
I don't know, man. It's like but it's guys like that where you can coach him up all season. You get him
Yeah.
at the playoff game, and the wrong thing happened at the right time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
That's it.
that's the one thing with them hothead kind of guys. You just never know they could go off at it. That remind me that's like T.O. T.O. could just you have to because I was tired of that, man. I was like, man, time for this, man. Playing around with these dudes.
Someone gonna send DK Metcalf a copy of Inner Excellence because it seemed to work for. Seemed to work. Yep. They were on the sidelines reading. So yep.
So speaking of the Eagles, AJ Brown, and speaking of the Eagles, I'm back on it again. Zach Brown, Zach Brown, our linebacker, he's back. We didn't even let him hit free agency, man. Again, didn't even let him hit free agency. And you know what? This guy is in the same boat as Hendrickson. He didn't play that much. He's 28 years old. He was playing on special teams his whole career. Really got in the system, in the right system for his talents. And this dude just exploded, man. This dude, 3 years, $51 million. Zach Bond, we locking him up, man. We locking him up. We keeping this defense intact. We know we got some players that might be leaving. We just cut Big Pay Slay. I think they may be working on something with Slay coming back. But Donnie, he may be coming back to your division. Detroit, he said Slay said it's only the Eagles and Detroit. He said if it's close, then he'll stay with the Eagles. But if it's like astronomical, he's going back to Detroit. But Zach Bond, man, this guy, I'm glad they locked him up for the next couple of years, keeping the defense intact at linebacker. We needed that because Howie really never paid linebackers. So Howie is doing some stuff out of the box. He never paid running backs and he never paid linebackers. So Howie is flipping the script a little bit, and I see where he is and what he's done. It was huge. Because Zach Brown was excited to hit free agency to see what was going on. But how he said, because that even came out of Zach Brown's mouth. He said, man, I'm excited to see what's going to happen in free agency, and da-da-da-da-da. How he was like, we ain't going to let that happen. Because when you start seeing these numbers, you're going to go crazy. Zach, we're gonna lock you up right here. We're going to give you this money right here. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. Done. Man, I'm happy about that. That's another piece of deal.
What about Josh Sweat? Because I think he's going to be a casualty of this, right?
Josh Sweat is gone because we got the young boys coming up, and I think Josh is gone. They're not gonna offer Josh. They're gonna let Josh go because we got the young boys coming up, and then I think and to that fact, we don't even need Myles Garrett. I'll tell you that as a fact. A lot. I know it's tied. Myles Garrett is tied to the Eagles. And I've seen a lot of Eagles fans and a lot of people say, yeah, get Myles Garrett. No, I don't want Myles Garrett. Let the young boys eat, man. These young boys, let me tell you, they hungry. And Myles Garrett, again, is in that same age range, 28 years old. He had 14 sacks for the last 2 seasons. He got a wear and tear. I don't want Myles Garrett because I can see Myles Garrett coming there, blowing out an ACL, and then you're done for the season. And you're done. And that's it. And so, yeah, I would, if it were me, I was passing on Myles Garrett. And I was going to get with these young boys, let them go, pick up somebody in one of the late rounds in the draft, somebody who got a motor, and let's keep them in that Vic Fangio system and roll with it, man. Roll with it.
Yeah, I don't see a need for Myles Garrett with the Eagles. I don't want to see Myles Garrett with the Eagles. I concur with everything you just said. Y'all don't need him. Y'all don't need him. So, yeah, keep the young bucks coming up.
Yep.
Leave Myles Garrett alone. Keep him in the AFC. For sure, keep him off the Eagles roster. Yeah, I'm good with that.
But
I'm definitely good with that.
Fiscally, it don't make sense, right? Like you got all these young guys. You pay folks what they need to get paid in their prime on the team. You got the 2-3 year window before you got to start paying the defensive tackles and the corners you just drafted. But up until then, you're making your run, right? So
yeah.
I think what is interesting is another team in your division reworking deals to have a whole bunch of salary cap space.
Yeah.
And if the Cowboys were actually able to actually spend money for a change and put him opposite Micah Parsons, that
It'd be dangerous.
And I could fill a lot of holes in the defense. So
yeah,
I don't think they will. But
no,
they've been the talk was they were making space to get DK Metcalf. Right? So,
okay.
To try to pair him opposite CeeDee Lamb, but I think the more
it don't matter.
Anyway,
it don't.
It should be Myles Garrett, but
and Jerry we trust, man. Jerry gonna make the right decision.
You know how sad it is. Like they could go ahead and make that move and get DK Metcalf, and people who know football, like really know football, will just say, "It don't matter." It don't matter.
Oh, yeah.
It's not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And even now, Donnie, you brought up Myles Garrett opposite Micah Parsons. What I've heard also is the Commanders want Myles Garrett, right? They got a lot of money. They got a lot of money to spend. And the Commanders are looking for Myles Garrett. And now the Eagles, this would make the Eagles interested in Myles Garrett. They do not want the Commanders to get Myles Garrett. So what they are going to do is if they hear that the Commanders have an offer in to Myles Garrett, then the Eagles will probably step in someplace, somewhere, somehow to snatch Myles Garrett. But I know the Commanders are looking to get Myles Garrett, and they got the money to spend. So I don't know where this is going to go. We're going to see what happens. But, yeah, Eagles do not want him to go to the Commanders.
The league does not want Myles Garrett to go to the Commanders.
No, but there's a term, there's a word we would call people like the Eagles back in the day when we were in high school, man, and it ends with blocker, right? So it's like that, like the way you describe that. If you all do that to spite the Commanders,
just cause, yeah.
I mean, the definition.
Yes. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I sign off on that, man.
That's messed up, man.
Come on.
Let me pivot, right? So we would be remiss not to bring up the Vikings and their situation that's still lingering with their quarterback, right?
Yep.
Free agent. Any insights on that, Doc?
Well, we didn't franchise him, right?
Right.
Which means we're not expecting to pay him on average what the franchise tag would be, right? So I think if he's going to come back for like 20-25 mil a year, we could talk. But if he's looking for 35, 40, we can go McCarthy and Daniel Jones and take our chances.
Was that? You don't think he's worth 35?
No.
So the top end quarterbacks are making 50 and up.
Don't forget, we got a second-year quarterback looking in the wings and a wide receiver getting paid 35 as is.
I understand that. But I'm just, that aside, let's talk about this as if it's in a vacuum, right? The top 10 quarterbacks in the league, they're making 50 million and above, right?
Yes.
And then you have that second tier that we all would agree, I think Sam Darnold should be in the second tier. Anything like 15 to 10 top quarterbacks in the league, right?
Mm.
No?
Off
Looks
the
like
1
Donnie
year,
putting them in the third tier.
Give me
off the 1
15.
year.
Give me 15 quarterbacks that played better than Sam Darnold last season.
But I'm saying off of the 1 year, right? Like that's my issue is it's off the 1
Or
year.
better yet, give me 15 quarterbacks that you would take right now over Sam Darnold.
So hold on. At 30, let's say 35 million, right?
Okay.
That's about what Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr are getting, Aaron Rodgers getting, and then Stafford's at 40.
Yeah. That's Sam Darnold. 35. That's Sam Darnold.
Doc say this only was a year, man. This was the year sample size.
First 16 games of the season, yeah, I'll pay Sam Darnold 40. But them last 2 games, man, them last 2 games, right? So I'm
you
gonna
knock $20 million off of 2
right.
games cost $20
And
You got to get over the hump, man. This pressure time.
I'll go up to 30. I'll go up to 30.
You said
But
25, $15 million. You knocked off $15 million.
But
Wow.
we have a young quarterback waiting in the wings. Now, I don't have faith in Daniel Jones, even though we're number 13. It's my 13, my favorite number. This is not a Daniel Jones jersey for the record.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just and we still gotta get a bit more, get some better players on the defense to accentuate what we're doing on the defensive side.
Basically, what you're saying is you letting Sam Darnold walk.
If Sam Darnold wants to sign a team-friendly deal for us to run it back, sure. But otherwise, yeah, I'm letting him walk. Yeah, I'm letting him walk.
You got to look at this. This was only 1 year, man. Sam Darnold got to prove himself. This was only a 1 year thing. I mean, and to Doc, it was only the first 16 games.
No. But also understand, I consider with the luxury of having JJ McCarthy, right? If we didn't have JJ McCarthy, that's a whole different situation, right? That because it's like, well, who are you gonna get to replace him, right? It's like, well, we got JJ McCarthy, right?
Right.
So,
well, I want to be practical, and you know how I feel about JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
I'm a Michigan guy, so I think the world of him. I think he's going to be a great quarterback, but we don't know that yet for a fact, right? We don't know what he's going to become. He hasn't played an official NFL down in the regular season.
Yep.
Right. So we don't know. You do know with this. So on one hand, you're saying Sam Darnold, small sample size, 1 season. He had some really good numbers, right? But that's not worth him coming back at market value for what he's produced. But you would put your chips all in for an unproven quarterback that hasn't played a single down yet in a regular season. Is that that's what I'm hearing?
Yes, but I'm going to word it differently.
Okay.
There's a quarterback who has learned to play the position finally and had a really good season up until it became critical to deliver, and he didn't. 2 games in a row. I'm not going to triple or quadruple his salary to run it back to see if when we get to that position, he has fortified himself and able to produce when he wasn't able to produce in those critical games. When, on the flip side, we've got somebody who may not, but the past did pretty good for a couple of games a couple of years ago. We haven't had many quarterbacks truly suffer coaching under O'Connell, right? So McCarthy's been there for a year, should have learned the ropes. Let's run it with him, with the other JJ on one side, Addison on the other side, Hawkins at the tight end, right?
Yeah.
I would rather have him struggle early and actually play well late in the season versus play great for 15, 16 weeks and then those critical games not deliver, right? Now, also realize you're talking to someone where his teams never lifted the Lombardi. So I'm only thinking Lombardi. right? Like, I don't care about the regular season anymore. Like, hey, that was nice, but it never ends well. So until it ends well, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's fairly. I mean, that's fair.
So I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate here, of course. I'm gonna tell you that last game when y'all played us in the playoffs, and I'm watching Sam Darnold on that field. He looked exactly the same as he did when he was with the Jets.
Jets.
He looked exactly the same. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. The regression in such a short time. I was like, what happened? So, I mean, to your point, I get it.
Yeah.
Some things you can't coach out of a player, especially when stuff doesn't go your way,
Mhm.
right? Sam Darnold is a quarterback where you give him the script. If everything is going according to plan, lights out,
Killing it. Killing it.
killing it. But the minute that prompter goes out, and now you gotta ad lib, you don't have nothing to read,
Yeah.
right? This is figuratively now,
Yep.
right?
Right.
The prompter's out, they're not feeding you the lines, and now you gotta come up and be quick and come be quick with it, figure it out on the fly. That's it. That's
So
it.
it's over.
Yeah, man. When the Rams were when we were pressuring him and that front four was getting in that backfield, he took a couple of hits, and then after that,
That was it.
he was seeing ghosts again.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely need to work on his mental, man. You know, all them years with the Jets must have damaged him, or I don't know. When you don't have a line and these dudes coming at you 100 miles an hour and you getting sacked over and over and over, and now he came to Minnesota, had a decent line, had some time, was able to do what he needed to do, get the ball out, distribute it, get it around. But then when you get to those, like Doc say, man, when you get to the playoffs, this is a new game. These dudes going on a higher level now. This not playoff. This not play. I mean, this not regular season.
Right.
This the playoffs, man. We playing at a whole nother level. I mean, he got to learn how to handle that, man. If he can't handle that, I'm a Doc, man. You got to roll.
Well, I mean, and I've been in that situation too with Jared Goff, right?
There you go.
There we
Get us
go.
to that point, and I've seen enough. Like, yes, the regular season is great, but when it's like you gotta have it,
Mm-hmm.
get to that point. This is what we paid you the big. See, the difference is we paid Jared Goff. We paid
Big
him the
bucks.
money.
Yeah,
We paid him the big bucks, and when it was time for him to deliver,
still good.
that
Still
was it.
good.
Yep. So he showed us what he was about, and Detroit Lion fans,
Mm.
you got a sample of that.
They got a sample of it this year.
You saw it for yourself.
It happened.
Lights out all season. Then all of a sudden, right? The Commanders come in town and they start hitting him upside
Yep.
his head.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep. And you make a good point, because I was watching that game and I was like, this dude, he looked like he done.
Let me tell you something, because Doc could tell you this all season. I'm saying to myself, did we really get it wrong with Jared Goff? What were we doing, right?
Right.
When I saw that playoff game, I had popcorn in hand, like that's the Jared Goff I know.
He's back. He's back.
He's back, right? You had me fooled. You had me fooled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't blame Doc, man. You want to get rid of Sam Darnold, man. That you can't blame him on that. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Not
So
much money, man.
yeah. So
Nice.
man, this was good, man. I covered a lot on with these free agents. It's gonna be interesting. May 12th. Gonna be interesting. We're gonna see some more things happening. I'm sure we're gonna see some, and heading towards the draft. We're gonna see some trades happening, and so it's gonna be exciting to see what happens over the next week or so, and then heading towards the draft. So, all right,
Yep.
fellas.
All right, man.
Yeah.
All right.
So see y'all on the next one.
All right.
Take care. All right.